Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where tonight we are once again going to be continuing to read Homer's Iliad. So, let's get going when it loads. Venus disguised, inviting Helen to the chamber of Paris. Haste, happy nymph, for thee thy Paris calls, safe from the fight in yonder lofty walls. Fair as a god with odours round him spread, he lies and waits thee on the well-known bed. Not like a warrior parted from the foe, but some gay dancer in a public show. She spoke, and Helen's secret soul was moved. She scorned the champion, but the man she loved. Fair Venus's neck, her eyes that sparkled fire, and breast revealed the queen of soft desire. 123. Struck with her presence, straight the lively red forsook her cheek, and trembling thus she said, Then is it still thy pleasure to deceive, and woman's frailty always to believe? Say, to new nations must I cross the main, or carry wars to some soft Asian plain? For whom must Helen break her second vow? What other Paris is thy darling now? Left to Atrides, victor in the strife, an odious conquest and a captive wife. Hence let me sail, and if thy Paris bear my absence ill, let Venus ease his care. A handmaid goddess at his side to wait, renounce the glories of thy heavenly state. Be fixed forever to the Trojan shore, his spouse or slave, and mount the skies no more. For me to lawless love no longer led, I scorn the coward and detest his bed. Else should I merit everlasting shame, and keen reproach from every Phrygian dame. Ill suits it now the joys of love to know, too deep my anguish and too wild my woe. Venus presenting Helen to Paris. Then thus incensed the Paphian queen replies, Obey the power from whom thy glories rise. Should Venus leave thee, every charm must fly, fade from thy cheek and languish in thy eye. Cease to provoke me, lest I make thee more the world's aversion than their love before. Now the bright prize for which mankind engage, than the sad victim of the public rage. At this the fairest of her sex obeyed, and veiled her blushes in a silken shade. Unseen and silent from the train she moves, led by the goddess of the smiles and loves. Arrived and entered at the palace gate, the maids officious round their mistress wait. Then all dispersing various tasks attend, the queen and goddess to the prince ascend. Full in her Paris' sight the queen of love had placed the beauteous progeny of Jove. Where as he viewed her charms she turned away her glowing eyes, and thus began to say, Is this the chief who, lost to sense of shame, late fled the field and yet survives his fame? O hadst thou died beneath the righteous sword of that brave man who once I called my lord. The boaster Paris oft desired the day with Sparta's king to meet in single fray. Go now once more thy rival's rage excite, provoke Atrides, and renew the fight. Yet Helen bids thee stay, lest thou unskilled shouldst fall an easy conquest on the field. The prince replies, cease divinely fair, nor add reproaches to the wounds I bear. This day the foe prevailed by Pallas' power, we yet may vanquish in a happier hour. There want not gods to favour us above, but let the business of our life be love. These softer moments let delights employ, and kind embraces snatch the hasty joy. Not thus I loved thee when from Sparta's shore my forced, my willing heavenly prize I bore. When first entranced in Cranay's isle I lay. 124. Mixed with thy soul, and all dissolved away. Thus having spoke, the enamoured Phrygian boy rushed. Thus having spoke, the enamoured Phrygian boy rushed to the bed, impatient for the joy. Him Helen followed, slow with bashful charms, and clasped the blooming hero in her arms. While these to love's delicious rapture yield, the stern Atrides rages round the field. So some fell lion whom the woods obey roars through the desert and demands his prey. Paris he seeks, impatient to destroy, but seeks in vain along the troops of Troy. Even those had yielded to a foe so brave, the recreant warrior, hateful as the grave. Then speaking thus, the King of Kings arose. Ye Trojans, Dardans, all our generous foes, hear and attest, from heaven with conquest crowned, our brothers' arms the just success have found. Be therefore now the Spartan wealth restored. Let Argive Helen own her lawful lord. The appointed fine let Ilion justly pay, and age to age record this signal day. He ceased, his army's loud applauses rise, and the long shout runs echoing through the skies. Venus, Book 4, Argument. The breach of the truce and the first battle. The gods deliberate in council concerning the Trojan war. They agree upon the continuation of it, and Jupiter sends down Minerva to break the truce. She persuades Pandarus to aim an arrow at Menelaus, who is wounded, but cured by Machaon. In the meantime, some of the Trojan troops attack the Greeks. Agamemnon is distinguished in all the parts of a good general, but he reviews the troops and exhorts the leaders, some by praises and others by reproof. Nestor is particularly celebrated for his military discipline. The battle joins, and great numbers are slain on both sides. The same day continues through this as through the last book, as it does also through the two following, and almost to the end of the 7th book. The scene is wholly in the field before Troy, and now Olympus's shining gates unfold. The gods with Jove assume their thrones of gold. Immortal Hebe, fresh with bloom divine, the golden goblet crowns with purple wine. While the full bowls flow round, the powers employ their careful eyes on long contended Troy. When Jove disposed to tempt Saturnia's spleen, thus waked the fury of his partial queen. Two powers divine the son of Atreus aid, imperial Juno and the martial maid. 125. But high in heaven they sit and gaze from far, the tame spectators of his deeds of war. Not thus fair Venus helps her favoured knight, the queen of pleasures shares the toils of fight. Each danger wards, and constant in her care, saves in the moment of the last despair. Her act has rescued Paris's forfeit life, though great Atrides gained the glorious strife. Then say ye powers, what signal issue waits, to crown this deed and finish all the fates? Shall heaven by peace the bleeding kingdoms spare, or rouse the furies and awake the war? Yet would the gods for human good provide, Atrides soon might gain his beauteous bride. Still Priam's walls in peaceful honours grow, and through his gates the crowning nations flow. And with that, we're going to come to the end of today's reading. And also, I think I've actually worked out what's going on here. I think it's actually 1 to 8, and that should be a V, not an X. Because that would make sense, because then it'd be 8, 9. So I think that's probably what's going on. I think that's just miswritten, which is fine. But anyway, that is the end of the episode. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, no matter what time of day it is. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.